a great deal of code. Yeah, probably a few thousand lines of code in the last 2 or 3 days. And I work on a mechanical keyboard.
Clickety-clack, clickety-clack.
Yeah, I bought a Leopold 10 years ago that has got MX Cherry Blue switches in it. So it's actually good for my fingers, because at the time we were doing Mac development and I was using one of the Mac keyboards and I was starting to get carpal tunnel. So I got the mechanical keyboard and within 2 weeks the carpal tunnel had gone completely. So having the key feedback really does make a difference. But it's a 102 key keyboard, full size, big switches and all that kind of stuff, and swapping backwards and forwards between that and a laptop keyboard, which is what's on this machine, it's not that easy.
Imagine not.
Yeah. We went through a stage where the office sort of became a keyboard snobbery sort of a place, where there were 2 of us with keyboards with cherry blues. One guy had reds, and there was another guy 1 cubicle over who brought in his IBM buckling spring. So you couldn't hear yourself think from the sound of typing. It was deafening.
Oh dear, it's like the old stereotype typing pool from the 50s and 60s.
Absolutely.
50 secretaries all in a room.
Absolutely.
Hanging away on typewriter.
In our case, there were much better hairdos and shoes.
Than the 50s and 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
don't know about that.
Half a dozen fat, balding men with runners on.
Okay, be self-deprecating. I do it all the time too, but jeez.
You can't say dyke. You can't even say lesbian. It's women in comfortable shoes. Good morning, world. How are we all?
Offended and outraged.
Absolutely. And if anybody's offended and outraged to an homage to Robin Williams, then they need to go and examine themselves very carefully. What are we doing today, Matty?
I got no idea, Dan. You didn't give me a heads up before the show.
No, and why would you when I just want to drop you in with a question like that? So
I enjoy the surprise.
Surprise.
If you want to know what I'm doing,
No, maybe not. Maybe we want to keep this PG.
Okay.
Well,
I was going to stay on
we
topic.
We started out with dongles.
Oh, no, you started off with dongles.
I started off with dongles.
At least you seem to be in a reasonable mood today.
What? I haven't been?
Well, sometimes life gets us down.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
You've been part of my life now for more than 18 months. You know that it's a hell of a lot more often than sometimes.
Well, it hasn't quite been 18 months yet.
Oh, really?
Really?
We're in June.
Yeah, I'd say it's about 15.
When did I start doing these? We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
Yeah, about 3 months ago, when we were trying to figure out when the 12-month anniversary was.
It was just prior to Easter, wasn't it? Or was it earlier than that?
It was either late March or early April, I reckon.
So if we go with March, April, May, June. Yeah, 15 months.
I seem to recall there being a post in the Demonworld Facebook group that people can join to that effect.
There would have been. Andy did a little bit of work around advertising it first up.
Yeah.
And she disappeared.
Well, that's what happens when you move to somewhere without internet.
Hmm.
Or even anything
With
else.
internet from the 60s.
Mm.
Yeah. I know that there's no such thing. But, you know.
Just ask Al Gore. He invented it in the 70s.
Yeah, right.
April 11th was that
April
post.
11th.
It's a featured post right at the top of the page. But I don't know if that was a before or after, because it doesn't say anything about inaugural.
Oh, I don't think the inaugural one happened with any fanfare at all. I think we just went, well, let's try this. And Andy turned up to the first one, or maybe two, and she held your position, which was holding down the sensible end of the conversation. And
I was going to say court jester. I actually
except
was
you didn't
there
get
for
caught.
those streams.
Yeah, I thought you were.
I wasn't an active participant in any
but
discussion.
I reckon you've turned up to 99.9% of them. I remember.
I think I might have missed one or two
Right.
at some point, but I don't remember specifics. And that was very, very early on.
It was. I do remember saying hello and you said hello to me back in the chat, but that was it. There was no verbal communication.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, I was desperately struggling, and you very kindly came in and put me out of my misery.
Yeah, well, as I seem to recall, it was something about we Australians need to stick together in this big American internet.
Never mind the Asian subcontinent internet.
Yeah, well, we don't get to see what's behind the Great Firewall of China, do we?
No, we don't.
Do you really want to?
Well, it's just more episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's pronounced badly. They're not any different from any other people on the planet. They have the same really poor taste in entertainment.
Same really poor taste in just about everything.
That's it.
And yes, I am making fun of literally everyone on the planet. Come at me, bro.
That's alright, I'll put a disclaimer on it that says we are
Adults with adult opinions.
adults with adult opinions. And we're quite prepared to have those opinions, and we're quite prepared to own them.
Oh dear.
Why is my headset not working today?
I don't know. Something to do with your dongle?
Yeah, I might have to adjust the angle of it. Nothing quite like the adjustment of the angle of your dongle.
Well, somewhere between 180 and 45 degrees as usual.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the location of the socket, presumably.
Well, yeah.
So I'm going to do this today.
The other house.
The other house. This is a crook-framed house.
This one has rooms in it.
So called because it has a crook frame.
Oh, yeah.
Start with the doors.
Why not?
Everybody busts in to light my fire. Or not those doors.
Not quite where I went, but yeah. That's very witty and very clever for this time of morning.
Brush won't come out of its...
I thought you were about to bust into the Bee Gees.
I remember we watched this Bee Gees special months ago. The most amusing part of it for me was there was an interview with a radio DJ who was there during the time, and he said that disco was the thing, and the radio station had to be in on the thing, and they were playing on average 3 Bee Gees songs a shift, and he said, weeks into this, we just wanted to take hostages. We had enough.
Oh, I don't remember what the song is now, but there was a station in California that was playing just one song, but it's had, 8,000 different cover versions of it.
Oh yeah.
And that was all they played.
Was just that song but different cover versions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember what the song was, though.
See, this is where the goodies come to the rescue. Walking Black
Radio
Forest.
Goodies. That is actually my favourite Goodies episode. I mean, it's classic early Goodies.
Yeah.
You got Graham going off the deep end. You got ridiculous montages. You got Bill and Tim being overworked twits.
Yeah.
The best of intentions.
Yep.
All Graham wanted to do was have a post office that worked. And I mean, we give Australia Post stick from time to time.
From time to time. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but to be wanting to tow Britain outside the 5-mile limit so that you can start up your own country, so that you can have your own post office that actually works.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's
wow,
genius.
how bad must the GPO have been?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, can't imagine what the postal service in Britain in the 60s would have been like to be that bad.
Yeah.
Maybe the RPE guys will show up and tell us what it was like.
Yeah.
Not implying that they're that old, but they could be.
I think Martin is. Not sure about Paul.
Yeah.
We have cod on our side.
The radio goodies.
Yeah.
Classic.
And now, Walk in the Black Forest.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Bong.
Yeah. Them asking. I think they might have asked Bill, who did the writing for the goodies. What was the split? And he said something along the lines of, Graham and I wrote it with Tim's pen. So it sounds like Tim was a little bit of a sort of...
And also there.
a more passive member of the creative team. Hmm.
Well, I suppose it'd be hard to ask him now, but
Yeah. You just have to shout very loudly. To a Ouija board.
yeah.
Another death that was attributed to COVID. Famous people.
Well, that was just about everyone over the last 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just about. So, all dongles aside, what are you doing?
Well, now that we've come to it, I'm actually kind of ashamed to admit I haven't been doing very much this week.
Why would you be ashamed to admit that?
Well, I was getting a unit out every 2 or 3 days for a couple of weeks there, and this week I've virtually hardly picked up my brushes at all. I took about 2 days to do the basing on that last unit of what are they, the King's Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a day off, and then I took 2 days to prime the next lot, which is a pretty good effort for 2 coats, 2 days. And then just yesterday, when I started to get started putting flesh tones on, I get a phone call saying, "Come to the pub."
Right.
And that kind of put the dampers on everything because I desperately needed a shower. Yeah, because we haven't had hot water here for quite a few days this week.
Oh, what's going on there?
Well, I've been saying that the big hot water system shouldn't run out in like 5 minutes of use.
Yes.
Finally listened to me
Mm-hmm.
and got something done about it.
Right.
Dodgy valve was basically releasing it all into the fucking drain.
Whoa.
Before it, not hot, but before it could fill up fully.
Yeah.
So the hot water system wasn't filling up fully, and it's one of those ones that only fills up off tariff overnight.
Right.
So yeah, for the last 2 years, well, we've had about 5 minutes showering of hot water system, and I've been complaining, and no one's listening because. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
finally got that fixed.
Right.
Still not game to have a shower longer than 3 minutes.
Because.
Because I'm afraid it might not be the bloody case. I don't want to push the limits and get yelled at. Although I desperately love a 20-minute hot shower in this cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I put down my paintbrush and had a shower and got dressed and went to the pub, and I don't paint after I've been drinking.
Oh, well. The results while you are painting after you've been drinking are spectacular. The following day, however.
Well, I suppose so, but.
It's like cutting code. Like, cutting code when you're drunk is fantastic. It's the best code you've ever written. The following day, however, it is illegible and usually needs to be deleted and rewritten.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Oh dear. I'm not the only one who suffers from that problem, I'm glad to find out.
No, that's a universal truth.
Of course. I mean, I knew that, but. Do you remember a week or two ago I told you I was going to State of Origin after a similar night of having beers with the boy?
Yeah.
Well, I knew that because one of the boys with all the money bought the tickets while we were sitting down having beers.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he'd bought 3 together.
Right.
He
They're all
had,
over the place.
yeah, one's on one side of the stadium, one's at the end, and another's on the other side. Couldn't be further apart if he tried.
Right.
So he rapidly cancelled the tickets, but then neglected to tell anyone that we didn't have tickets anymore because they weren't together like he
Right.
thought they were, and like he told us that they were.
Right. So, no state of
So
origin.
no state of, well, we'll get together at one of the houses and watch it on the screen,
Right.
and probably drink more beer for cheaper, which will be good.
Will be.
Yeah. I just started to lose my voice. Where was I going with that? Oh, right. He forgot to tell us for 2 weeks because
Right.
we didn't catch up last Friday.
Yeah.
Because he was, so hungover that he forgot to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Universal truth.
Buying footy tickets, coding, painting, and building model kits.
While you're drunk, don't do it, kids. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. Particularly not if the spare runner service is only for people in Japan.
The damned local sprue only. Local sprue replacement only. Jeez, I can't speak. That's where my kudos go back to frontline hobbies. They didn't have to replace that kit, but they did.
That was the cracked
Lamborghini.
Lamborghini, yeah.
The smashed Lamborghini. The squashed flat Lamborghini. The frog in a road Lamborghini.
I'm trying to think of an example of someone famous who's crashed a Lamborghini. So that you could have built it that way.
Yeah. I don't know of anybody that's totally destroyed a Countach like that. I imagine there have been, but I haven't heard of them.
What was Tiger Woods driving that time a little while ago when he...
Half the soccer mums in America?
I think Sweden, actually, but
Oh! Do they have soccer mums in Sweden?
probably.
There's going to be 10 disclaimers on this one, isn't there?
Well, pretty reasonable to assume that they play soccer in Sweden.
Absolutely. They'd probably call it football.
Well, probably. Or whatever Sweden calls it. I honestly don't know. Where am I going? Oh, Tiger Woods.
Tiger
You
Woods.
remember he cracked up his car in accidental circumstances that were actually heavily downplayed by the police and the media.
Oh, no idea. I don't keep track of Tiger Woods. I'm thoroughly uninterested in the man because I'm thoroughly uninterested in the game. But
okay, well, a couple years ago, long after his career had ended, he smashed his car. It was an expensive car one morning. And he ended up not being charged with anything, despite the fact that he was massively smashed and massively stoned.
right.
Yeah, and for some reason, Tiger Woods' Lamborghini
Yeah, right.
smashed.
Well, you know.
I don't know what he was actually driving, but I was thinking, ooh, Tiger Woods smash, when you brought up your Countach. And I thought I was getting over this cold. I've just spent a bit of time coughing up my guts.
It's not good. So Facebook being the ultimate source of all truth. I saw this thing the other night which postulated that not only was Lance Armstrong taking every performance enhancing drug known to man, apparently, according to these people, there was a switch under the seat of his bicycle. And if you look at footage of him, just before he starts to go faster, he touches the back of the underside of the seat of the bike. So they were saying he must have had an electric motor, and that he'd push the button to turn the electric motor on. And I'm like, really? How is that in any way plausible?
An electric motor that small enough that it couldn't be detected.
Couldn't be detected. Activated by a small switch that couldn't be detected. That was going to give him enough of a performance advantage to win 7 Tour de France's. It's like, I think I'd like some of those substances. I think it'd be fun to be living on those.
Well, I'd like some of those motors.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
you do with them?
Yeah, and obviously there was a great deal of commenting on the video, and one guy pointed out that he currently has the best EV bicycle in the world at the moment, and there is no way he could hide the electric motors, let alone a battery pack big enough to actually give it a performance boost.
But the frame is the battery pack.
Yeah, but that's what they do with the modern EVs.
And, well, yeah, that's why they're useless after a minor fender bender. You got to throw them in the bin.
That's it. They're all made out of carbon fibre anyway. What's really interesting to me is that I was listening to I've been on a sports car binge for the last month. I watched Le Mans live this year.
Oh.
That was great. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Did you get every minute of it?
No. I'm going to have to go back and watch the replay for that. Because it started at midnight. So and we had a long weekend here, coincidentally with Queen's birthday. So it started midnight. Saturday and went through to midnight Sunday, which was cool because I had Monday off, so I didn't have to be up for work at least. So I got to see it from about 7:38 Sunday morning right through till midnight, so right through to the finish. That's a fair chunk of it.
Yeah, 2/3, roughly.
So, and really enjoyed seeing it live. Don't know why. Anyhow, the Toyota hypercars are the only hybrid cars in there at the moment. The Glickenhaus and the Alpine are conventionally powered. And in a different race, not in. Well, I think they had problems in Le Mans too, but in Spa, they'd had a problem with the car, and they have a light in the windscreen of the car which if it's blinking red, means don't touch me. And that light is specifically there for the marshals. So that, if the marshals go up to a hybrid car and this light in the windscreen is blinking red, the marshals don't touch the car. Because it means there's a major flaw in the electrical system and the whole chassis is live. And the guy that was commenting on it, Anthony Davidson, who's an ex-Formula One driver but also a very accomplished sports car driver, was saying that carbon fibre is a wonderful conductor of electricity. And they were highlighting this because the driver getting out of the car had to jump off it. He couldn't step off it, so he couldn't be in contact with the ground and the car at the same time. He had to jump off it to make sure that there was an electrical, a gap. Yeah. So I'm like, carbon fibre, wonderful conductor, EV bike made of carbon fibre.
Well, as long as they keep using natural rubber tyres.
I don't think there's anything natural about modern tyres.
No, there isn't.
But just interesting, watching the driver climb out of the cockpit, standing on the side of the car and then jumping. Because it was wet. That Spa race was wet. So the ground was wet. Anyhow, I was just thinking, we were talking about EV bikes and carbon fibre. If something goes wrong in your EV bike, you better hope that your seat's well insulated.
Speaking of something EV, and you'd better hope is in working order.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the Ford Mustang Mach-E?
Mach-E?
It's
nope.
Ford's electric car. The American government went heavily on them to avoid giving money to Elon Musk.
Right.
Of the 100,000 or so vehicles that have been produced in the last 2 years since they started manufacturing them, 49,000 have now been recalled because of a problem that causes the battery to stop working.
Right.
Half the production run.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, the battery just stops working and you'll crash.
Oh, see, the and you'll crash bit was missing.
Well, that's kind of what happens when you suddenly lose power in traffic, isn't it?
Sometimes. If the person behind you is not paying attention, then yeah, absolutely. I was going to say,
you're behind.
what's the scale of that compared to that Takata airbag recall?
Probably not that big. Wasn't that every car on the planet nearly?
I think it was a third.
Manufactured it.
So, we're really sorry. The airbag installed in your car will kill you if it goes off. Please give your car back to us so that we can replace it. Thanks.
Yeah, but you can't replace the battery in an EV.
Yes,
please give us your car. Oh, not likely.
Well, no, you can.
Because they're integrated in the frame. You're just getting a new car. You're not getting replaced.
Yes, it's Grandpa's axe, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you know what I mean.
I'm having real slumping problems with my headset.
Just a little bit heavy?
Well, no, it's... For some reason, I haven't got them right, and there's an interaction going on with my earphones that means they're not staying put. Headphones, earphones, headphones.
Well, maybe you should take a minute to try and figure it out.
Well, I have. I have another go
Well,
And the central heating's on too high, so
central heating. Wow,
yeah.
that'd be a nice luxury sometimes.
You're in Queensland.
Yeah, I know. Central heating's the sun.
Yeah, open the door.
So, sunrise in the east. I'm actually up against the east-facing wall of
Yeah,
this house, right?
yeah.
It's a double brick wall, so it's extremely well insulated and
Mm-hmm.
cold at all times of year. There's no window in it.
Yeah.
It's black as. And there's a huge overgrown garden with trees up to 20 meters in height sitting right next to it, so no sun gets through to the wall, so it's actually freezing cold where I'm here.
Right.
So I put on a beanie this morning,
Yeah.
and then I've put my headphones on over the top of it.
Mm.
Of course, I'm wearing my glasses because I'm blind without them.
Yeah.
And the interaction of all three is not that much fun.
No. Yeah, right there with you.
I'm tempted to put on contact lenses just for it. I can do 2 of 3, but not 3 of 3.
Mm.
And 2 of 3 in any combination. And I typically do this about once a year, and then I remember that it sucks.
Yeah. We give Cleese so much shit when he appears on camera in meetings with his beanie and jacket on.
Yeah, but he lives up in the Queensland hinterlands. Though.
Yeah.
Cold up there. It's mountains.
Never mind that we're giving him shit because, you know, the running joke is it must be less than 25 in Queensland today because Clee's got his beanie and jacket on. When the reality is it's dropping down into single digits just like it is here.
Yeah. It is unusually cold this year.
That's because England's stolen all the heat.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind an English summer right about now.
You need some rain?
Pleasantly warm.
Yeah, right.
20 degrees, 25 maybe.
Oh, they're all dying at the moment because it's been over 33 days in a row.
Ugh, 30.
Like 32.
32 is nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's the kind of complaining that you get in Melbourne when it's over 40 degrees 3 days in a row.
Yeah, but 40 is actually not that great.
It's
Unless it's a dry heat.
it tends to be in Melbourne when it gets that hot. It's gone quite dry. But my Russian friend was saying that when it gets over 30 degrees in Moscow, people start dying. The elderly start dying because they're just not used to it. But then on the other hand, they're putting up with minus 20. So
yeah, the range of temperatures they have to deal with is quite a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here the temperature's always within 10 degrees, and anything outside of that is just
Weird, strange. Whereas Melbourne can be 15 degrees different in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When one of those big fronts comes through. Hey?
I don't think I could deal with that, to be honest. See, my skin starts going all funny, the breakouts and all that, whenever the weather changes.
Right.
Which isn't much fun.
No. It
To have it happen multiple times a day isn't something I would look forward to.
Multiple times an hour?
Well, that's
That whole joke if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That was invented for places like this. Having said that, it's been grey and miserable and wet for 3 weeks. Got a little bit of sunshine late yesterday, just in time for there to be no cloud cover as the sun went down, so that it got cold again.
We've been putting up with westerly winds up until, I guess, Wednesday. It's the westerly winds that have been making it cold here.
Yeah.
Ugh. We're not supposed to get those until August, by tradition.
By tradition. It's been colder this year, definitely. June has been cold.
And yet here I am in my t-shirt and shorts.
Well, that says to me that it is cold, because if it was
Yeah, I've
warm,
got a
you wouldn't
shirt
have a
on.
t-shirt on.
Yes, the shirt is the concession to the cold.
That's it.
Although the sun is still lovely and warm when you go out in the middle of the day, which is nice. It's just the wind that does it. So I've been enjoying 20, 30 minutes of just standing out in the sun, wearing nothing but a pair of shorts and
Don't you have
soaking up the rays.
Don't you have somewhere in the backyard you can sit? Thought you had to.
Well, I do, but the chair has been pinched.
Oh. By somebody living there, or
Yes,
just right.
yes. I don't know what to call them. They're like a reclining chair with wooden bits jutting out the front for you to put your feet up on.
Right.
Sail canvas seat, and
Yeah.
I forget the proper name for them, but I had some very old ones here, 100+ years old. And the last of them finally cracked the shits and fell apart. And so my wicker chair was press ganged into service to replace it.
Bugger.
Yeah, now it's upstairs, and my nice warm spot in the garden is not upstairs. I'm not carrying the bloody chair up and down,
No.
just about. I've got some old IKEA dining chairs. I might use one of those.
They might not last very long outside.
No, in fact, one of them has been sitting outside and it's not suffered well for it. And that's undercover.
Yeah.
Probably be worth the melanoma. Just to be warm.
Well, I lost mine.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do with them.
Yeah. Went to a hospital and misplaced it. A damn fine job, actually, because it was in an ear. So I had to do a graft.
That doesn't sound like much fun at all.
That wasn't too bad. At the end of the day, the guy that took the skin specialist that took the biopsy actually got the whole of the cancerous growth. Because when they did the surgery, because he obviously found melanoma, and so they did the surgery, and they came up and they said, no, all we found was scar tissue. So the guy that did the biopsy actually got the whole content of it, but they put a little nick in the skin just in front of that ear, where the skin is similar, and they grafted that into the spot where they'd taken the piece out, and you really can't tell. Like,
well, they had to justify their time somehow.
Yeah,
Get
but
back in.
even if they even if they were just practicing for shits and giggles, they did a damn good job. Like, I was expecting to lose half my ear, to be honest, and I have a, well, relatively normal looking ear, and you can't see where they took the skin graft from. So all in all, but that I used to wake up with my pillow soaked in blood because it just used to crack open during the night as I was moving around on my pillow, and it just used to bleed, and it would heal up for a couple of days, and then it would bleed again. And I finally got the shits with it because it was bleeding in my helmet, and I was having to pull the pads out of the helmet and wash them all the time.
Yeah.
And you go, well, why weren't you complaining about the pillow? It's because I wasn't having to wash them. So.
No, I understand that. I've been known to leak blood out of my head occasionally from this or that or the other, and I never seem to mind it on the pillow. It's weird.
It's like, oh, that side of the pillow is really brown with blood. Turn it over.
That's why I've got an orange-brown sort of pillowcase.
Is that cause or effect?
Cause, actually.
Yeah.
I deliberately bought a tangerine pillowcase.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to go with so you could have tangerine dreams, but I think we'll just move on.
I was never an iMac person.
No.
I'm not an Apple anything, actually.
That's I'm really quite happy with that. That's come out really nicely.
The roof.
No.
Well, the roof was on the screen when you were talking, so...
Come on, Twitch, catch up.
No, you're right. It has come out very nicely.
Now I've stuck a finger in something.
And again, you're holding the roof when that audio comes through, so I'm like, oh, is your primer not quite dry on the roof yet?
Nope. This primer's been dry a week. You know how you said you didn't pick up your paintbrush? Or you were disappointed with the amount of paintbrushing that you managed to do during the week. Yeah. I literally didn't pick mine up this week. That's
what, 2 or 3 in a row for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Work's been that hectic. I figured that'd been the case.
Just work's been stupid. You know, I spending a great deal of my time and my energy and myself arguing with idiots about idiotic things. And the trouble is that they're bringing me down to their level and smashing me with experience.
One of those tired old jokes, but it's only tired because it's true.
It's exactly right. So, you know, I've decided that I'm sick of saying, so I'm just going to do and demonstrate that you don't have to be idiotic. So yeah, that is and all sorts of things are suffering as a result. So having these buildings done will enable me to at least do some photography for Demonworld, which is desperately required because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that photography desperately required 2 weeks ago?
It was 3 weeks ago, in fact.
I wasn't going to say that.
Hands are shaking.
I really like that texture on that roof, like the thatching.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like that.
it's come up really well, hasn't it?
Mm.
The only thing that does annoy me about it is that I did pick a couple of different patterns, and then when I glued them onto this particular roof, I managed to put the similar ones next to each other.
Well, that's kind of, your own downfall.
Exactly. Absolutely. There's nobody else to blame but me.
So speaking of needing to get things done in a hurry, I saw that the Volume 2 of the Champions Challenge webcomic has been released. Yeah, which is good. I've downloaded it. Of course, I haven't had time in the 15 minutes before getting out of bed and stream start to read it.
Yeah.
Barely had time to download it.
Don's
But
been smashing it.
yeah, he has. And he name-checked his work on Demonworld in his last painting stream, drawing stream as well.
Did he?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't do anything for Demonworld on it unless, you want to use the wildlife stuff. I guess, if you want to have a moose. Mooses are kind of monstrous. I've got one disassembled and sitting in a box here, waiting to be painted.
Hey, Rocky.
I mean, yeah.
Bullwinkle, that trick never works. This time for sure. Don starts his Demonworld journey next week.
Okay.
Layout and artwork for the basic rules. It's a very cool idea coming, so watch out for illustrations for that.
It's Don.
It is.
Don's great.
His Don is
great
good.
artist. Yeah. Now there's a reference.
These poor people that are not Australians. They just don't understand.
Excuse me for a minute while I browse YouTube quickly. Is the Don Small Goods Company even still around?
Yes, I believe so. At least, I've not seen anything to the contrary.
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, they still exist. Their website is even isdonisgood.com.au.
There you go. Some good marketing people there.
Yeah, that is the power of advertising.
It is. So, oh,
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
sorry about that. Should have gone on mute before I did that.
It's an interesting colour.
Desert tan.
That works very nicely as a thatch.
Yeah, and I wanted the darker brown under it to give it a less uniform.
Yeah. No, it's working well.
And I'm going to go around the edges with a little bit of very diluted green. Because, you know, fresh thatch is very thatchy, but after a while it
Dries out.
develops a patina. Well, that's if it does dry out. Like in European climes, it just gets...
Yeah, well, I'm not really that used to thinking about Europe.
Well, it's a
Tiny little thing all the way over there on the other side of the world.
It's more that we're embracing our fantasy tropes, yeah?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I was going to try and say something clever about Garen being fantasy Australia, but with more snow and ice. Because, you know, Demon World, Death World, same thing, basically.
Yeah. Well, I have postulated that we're going to end up with a southern continent-based race that may or may not have long jumpy legs and long tails and bad attitudes. But we haven't got there yet.
Long tails. Lizardmen.
Kind of. Lizardmen that jump.
Flat out drinking.
Flat out drinking.
Yeah, I mean, the 15mm Lizardman figures can work for that.
No, I was
They're-
going to get them sculpted.
Oh, okay.
I was going to have a proper range of Antipodeans. You don't think that'll work? I do.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm just trying to think of ways that I can use stuff that I've already got on hand. I mean, these guys that already exist, they're lightly armored for the most part in shorts and an open t-shirt. They've got the long tails already. And most of them wield a variant of a pointed stick.
Here's a question. Let's say, for argument's sake, you do a range of, kangaroo warriors, backed up by wallaby skirmishing and all that kind of stuff. Do I put them in King G and wife beaters?
Oh dear. The answer is, of course, yes.
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
They need big steel cap boots too.
Absolutely. So plenty King G and wife beaters. With a selection of them in construction hard hats. I apologise to my overseas audience. I'd explain, but I'd just get into trouble.
Yeah.
You know what they say? Australia, mate.
The movie you're looking for is Romper Stomper.
Starring in New Zealand. Yeah. Actually, the movie you're looking for is any ad with Paul Hogan in it from the 80s.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't going to go to Crocodile Dundee. Mostly because half of it's set in America anyway.
Yeah. Well, how to get it to appeal to an international audience. Oh, I keep forgetting how crap this pot is. Screw you, Citadel. Screw you very much.
They haven't ever come up with a decent paint pot design.
Nope.
Ugh.
They have not. I suppose I'm off camera again.
No, we can see what you're doing. We could see what you were doing before you moved it too. It is a very large object to be fitting into that camera shot, though.
Yeah, it's kind of a compromise. It's a nice texture, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Just be careful when you're going over the lip of the roof. You're leaking stuff on the other side.
Thank you. We wouldn't want uncontrolled leakage.
Not of this horrible yellow shade.
No. That's a conversation we don't like to have over the age of 50.
Could have sworn I just heard a postie bike.
On Saturday,
Hmm.
that seems unlikely for it to be a postie. Mind you, other people own CT110 Hondas, so...
Yeah, I've known a few people who have bought them deliberately just to annoy people.
Mm-hmm. There used to be a racing series for them.
That would have been interesting, aren't they? All speed limited to 80 kph.
Oh, well, obviously in a racing series they take all of the speed governors off them. And I think you'll find that the speed limit is related to power versus weight. Put some full postie bags on them and they're not very quick. Do you think I need to go over it with some darker brown?
You did kind of lose that initial dark brown underneath it there.
You can still see the mottle in it. That's
yeah.
that's all
Okay.
still there. I just wonder, as it dries, whether it's... No, it's actually... What I'll do is let it dry and then dry brush it. Pick out the top.
Mm.
It's drying very, very, very quickly because the cardboard is soaking up the paint. So...
Hooray for central heating.
Oh, yeah. I'm drying out very quickly too.
Haven't seen you reach for a can of Coke yet.
I've been quaffing this one at a fairly hefty rate.
Oh, that's why I haven't seen it then.
Yes. That one's a bit better too now. It's a bit toned down.
Yeah, it just needs a matte varnish on it, I think.
Yeah, it's got one. So I've painted
Well,
over
maybe
the
a bit more.
varnish.
Well, it's the roof is a little bit shiny.
Yeah, in
It
this
looks
light,
slick.
it certainly is. I'm having trouble with that matte varnish. Like, for some reason, it's coming out as semi-gloss, not a... Which is annoying.
You got one of those 1 in 5 cans, isn't quite right.
Yeah, basically.
Bugger.
Nearly to the end of it. So I did this because there's been a request for some 28mm village life stuff.
Hmm.
So it needs a roof and some more details, but a village well
With a turning crank.
with a turning crank or a cranky turn. They want some headstones. and some tombs and a mausoleum. So I've been debating that.
Here's something we prepared earlier. I suppose not.
No. I'm still thinking about those ones.
15mm scale headstones would be quite small.
They're 28 though. This is for the next characters Kickstarter for RPE. So this is following on from the dwarves.
Oh, okay.
While that's
Well,
drying,
28mm headstones would still be quite small.
yeah. While we're doing that, I might find where I put the goblins. I might start assembling the macrotheli. I'm going to go and turn the central heating down. This is ridiculous.
Nice problem to have.
Well, it becomes an even bigger problem when the gas bill turns up.
Yeah, and this next one's going to be an even bigger one.
Yes, everything's going up.
That's what you get for letting your government blow up all your power stations. You've done it to yourselves.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm going to get up and make a cup of coffee.
Good plan.
Because, my hands are actually freezing, and I'll tell you all about it after I get a cup of coffee. Rasp, rasp, rasp. Rasp, rasp, rasp.
Rasp your
your
spider.
I figured out why it's colder than usual this morning. We've got a bit of a wind coming from the southwest.
Right.
just what we needed.
Yep.
So yesterday I took a trip to Bunnings to pick up some supplies.
Oh, they're open again.
One of them is not my closest one. That
Right.
one will probably never reopen.
Right.
Because the next closest one after that, which also got done in the floods, is only 3k up the road.
Yeah.
It's literally two freeway exits and 3 kilometres up the road.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, people can just drive a little bit further. They only reopened on Monday, though, this one.
Yeah, and that's a long time.
Well, yeah, being out of business for 3 months is pretty significant
It is.
for a business like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they've moved everything around in the store.
Of course.
All of the online stuff that tells you where to go to pick up your particular item.
It's all wrong.
It is. It's all out by 2 aisles.
Right.
Things that are in 47 are actually in 48. Things that are in 13 are actually in 15, etc., etc. And the online stock levels aren't being updated either.
Right.
For example, the whole point of the trip was to pick up some more Loctite,
Yeah.
cyanoacrylate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got tons of it in stock. It's the one item in the entire superglue section that was completely missing.
Yeah.
Didn't even have any boxes of it on the shelves above. I'm like, that was like a third of the point of coming here.
Yes.
So I bought a couple of smaller ones, 5 gram or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You go through those pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm hoping that by the time that I do go through them, there will have some in stock.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a shame because I wanted to buy a few to bulk up. Anyway.
Your mileage may vary, but the last time I did that, I just bought a pack of 5 from an online seller, and the 5 cost me about the same as the 1 would cost me from the local retailers, and I ordered it with enough time to spare that I didn't run out. So.
Well, I'll probably do that next time. I mean, I'm not on the verge of running out with the one I'm working on currently, but I noticed that, yeah, it could probably stand to be finished off fairly quickly. It's starting to set in the bottle, probably.
Getting a little bit gel-like.
A little bit gel-like.
It's not coarse enough, which is unusual for me.
Just spit on it a little.
Not touching that one. Moving on.
I also picked up some dowel, some 4mm dowel and some 6mm dowel.
Yep.
I was really annoyed by the fact that they only sell the 4mm dowel in 2.4 meter lengths. I'm like, do you realize how awkward this is? This thing is bending and flexing around everywhere while I'm trying to get it to the counter, and people are giving me a wide berth, which they should anyway.
You poke 10 people in the eye with it, which is remarkable considering how difficult it is to maneuver.
Pretty much. And the 6mm dowel came in 1 point something lengths. Turns out I didn't need the 6 at all because, the 4 fits my painting stands perfectly as it should. As those painting stands were designed for a 4.5mm shaft.
Yeah.
which I then proceeded to drill out a little just because I could. I thought I drilled them out to 6 mil. Turns out I didn't. It's more like 5 or 5.5.
Yeah, right.
So the 6 didn't fit, and I'm like,
Bugger.
So that was, $7 wasted on the 6 mil down, and $12 wasted on the super glue that I didn't actually want. But
That sounds like a remarkably unsuccessful trip to Bunnings to me.
well, I also picked up a cheap pair of side cutters.
Uh-oh.
It's good. They worked, which is good.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I spent yesterday, instead of painting, I assembled some miniature stands for painting cavalry figures
Cool.
in the fashion that you have.
Cool. That's a worthwhile exercise.
It was, yeah, because as it has been to date, I've just been gluing one foot to the edge of one of my existing stands and kind of leaving it bare metal on the underside of that one foot.
Yeah.
And there has been a little bit of time where I've accidentally peeled off some paint where I've painted over the super glue.
Yep. That happens. That happens.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that no longer being a problem. But now I need to paint some cavalry to actually use them. Otherwise, I've just got a lot of small bits of wood with pointing metal wires in them. Make me look like a back alley abortionist.
You didn't say anything about coat hanger wire.
No, but the wire I used is about mil thick steel from paper clips.
Yep.
And they're the owl clip type of paper clips, so, fancy. But they got lots of straight bits on them. Short straight bits, so I just cut off all the bendy bits. And, yeah.
Hence the side cutters.
Hence the side cutters, because the metal nippers that I picked up from the army painter don't use on steel.
No, don't.
I mean, they can, but it's a good way to ruin the cutting blade, as I've already discovered.
Yeah, notch them pretty quickly.
Yes, I did. First time out, 3 notches. Like, I bought these things for a specific reason, and I didn't use them for it. Fortunately, I use them for something else, which is, good. Yeah.
Alright, looks like we've got rid of most of that mould line.
It's a very shiny spider.
And the resulting scratches from the file. The rest we'll just attribute to patina.
Well, if you figure out a way to incorporate it into the overall painted design, like make a big red stripe out of it.
They've even put the fangs here underneath as well. Very anatomically correct. Oh, and it broke again.
Ugh. Oh, that's a bugger.
Yeah, this is what happens when you're rough with things. It was entirely my fault.
It's going to have a fairly heavy load on it, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be spread out over the other 7 legs as well, but...
Yeah, I think we might pin this.
That's what I was about to suggest.
Seeing as it's broken once, I think I might pin it. So let's do that.
That, of course, was the other reason I did all those cavalry stands. Yesterday was to play with my pin vise.
Yeah.
I'd never had one before. And aside from drilling holes in toothpicks for the fun of it.
Why? Because you could.
Basically, yeah. Because they were there and I had nothing else to do.
Oh, it's hollow. It's an air. It's a bubble in there. How about that?
Well, that might explain why it snapped in the first place.
No, it snapped because I was being rough with it. Be super careful not to go out the other side.
Hmm.
That's probably as good as it's going to get. Pin. Cutters of the side variety. Gee, that felt like that had gone deeper than that.
It was a reasonable bit of wire that had come out of it.
Okay. Those holes are about the same depth. It's bizarre.
So what you're looking for is an offcut of wire.
Hmm. Oh. Okay.
Just a little bit more.
It's probably good enough.
Well, coat of paint will cover all sins.
One thick coat. Oh. Right. One leg that is now stronger than it was when I got it.
Well done. Just want to say you've given me confidence to go ahead with some of my own pinning projects.
Have you got some pins? Oh, you know, you've got
Got my steel wire
got
in
your
the form of
steel wire.
paper clips.
Sick.
Yes, starts with a D, ends with an agon.
Which one?
Good question. It's got two heads.
So many jokes. So inappropriate.
Tasmanians.
We've just offended our other listener.
Seriously? I didn't think they had the internet down there.
I'm going to buy you a shovel. You've just had a birthday. I'm going to buy you a shovel.
Hello, Clay.
Looks about right, doesn't it?
By right, you mean giant monstrous spider. Then
Yeah, which is never ever going to be anything that you define as right, but
right.
right.
Yeah.
The trouble is too that it's like a golf ball.
Yeah, it's a pretty reasonable size.
Oh goodness, is it going to work?
You got any putty?
Yeah, it's going to need a bit of filling in here. But, I might actually cheat.
Well, that's a way. I admit to have doing that myself once or twice.
Well, because I had the Insta set in there, it capillaried into the gap and then went solid. So it's actually a really nice fill.
Just get your knife out and whittle it down a little.
I don't even think I need to. It's pulled into the gap.
Brilliant.
Serendipitous. Though what Sarah's got to do with it, I have no idea.
That's the other overly common name of my generation.
Sarah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Funny story. My
Blame
parents were
Fleetwood
super
Mac.
creative. My parents were really creative.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've got Matthew.
My sister is Sarah.
Right. Matthew and Sarah Smith.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a really banal question about whether or not she's ever been purchased 2 mules.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Although she did spend a few weeks in Europe. It's possible.
Possible.
Yeah.
So now I have to figure out how I'm going to sit it up so that it's sitting slightly off the table.
Some sort of prop under the abdomen you had discussed previously.
Yes.
Be it a rock or a skull or even just a metal pin.
Could balance it with the abdomen on the ground. That's probably a more sensible thing to do, because without it, the legs are going to take an absolute beating over the lifetime of the model. So I wonder whether or not that is the right height.
I noticed it's got the spinnerets on the back. You could always stick something shooting out of those.
Peter Parker.
Must be nothing. That's something I won't go into on the stream, but I'll tell you about it after.
Right.
Some things are too out there even for us.
I haven't seen one yet.
This is.
Yeah, right. Moving right along.
Yeah, giant spiders.
Mmm, tasty. So there's only the two of you, as far as siblings is concerned.
Oh, we have another younger brother as well,
Right.
who has a more creative name.
Right.
In Kieran.
Kieran.
Which was a name that was around at the time. I played football with one, actually.
Right.
But not that many of them around outside of the famous swimmer who predates us by, I guess, 10 years or so.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Kieran Perkins is sort of more my...
Closer to your generation
closer to
than
my
mine.
age.
Although the school swimming pool was actually the local public pool in primary school, and it was the same one that he was training at.
There you go.
Yeah, local boy done good.
Done
I
superb.
remember in 1992, the whole school was pulled out of class to watch the local boys swim the 1500
Yeah.
at Barcelona.
He opened a lot of doors for a lot of people. I think the Australian swimming program benefited greatly from his success, I think.
I reckon that's true.
You know what's missing from these legs?
What's that?
They're not hairy.
Well, a bit of static grass will fix that.
There's an idea. I don't have any black though, I'd have to dye it. I was trying to describe to Don yesterday how big the Gargantoid is. I was just trying to paint a picture in his head of a spider the size of Todd's RV.
I think that's underselling it a little.
Yeah, although Todd's RV is not very small, but yeah. So, a spider the size of Todd's RV with Todd's RV mounted on the back.
Yeah, there you go. That's closer.
Yeah. Because we were trying to figure out how big these goblins were. I said, 3.5 to 4 feet.
I'm sure Don will love drawing that.
Yeah. So if you consider, right, so these guys, let's say, for argument's sake, these guys are 4 feet high. The abdomen on that spider is about 8 feet.
Yeah. At least.
At least. Right? That is an absolute horror. More so because it won't bloody stand up. I'll have to put some blue tack under it. going to have to pin the damn thing to paint it anyway. Alrighty. How are we for time? We should get it glued
14.
together. Should get it glued together. This is what the roof looks like now, by the way. It's got a really nice model to it.
Yeah, it's dried very nicely. Does look very good.
Right. You. Spidery thing. So what do I do with the palps? They're there. So we've got one of those in there. Oh, you are going to fall over, aren't you? Clean that knee off. And one there. One there. One there. One there. Okay.
Fragile stuff.
Yeah. This is where the Instaset really comes into its own.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be super helpful. All these tiny fiddly little bits ready to fall over at a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm. Get in there. Give that a second. Didn't stick. Why?
Oh, good God, it's worse with legs.
it really starts to look like a spider now. Yeah, the other point I made about the Gargantoid was that to make Shelob look like a domestic pet. Too much. Oh, don't do that. No. Crap. Oh, no swearing on stream. I shall use a Clarksonism. Well, that's not gone well. Oh, the other thing about the quick set is that it melts blue tack. Like, it turns it into absolute mush.
Didn't know that.
The chemical composition is, but yeah, it does very, very bad things to blue tack.
God, it looks like it's oozing. Just in this camera shot, it looks like it's oozing out on the ground.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's a little bit of pustulation going on. Okay. Now the really horrifying bits.
It's bad enough already. You're going to make it worse?
Well, yeah, because these are the bits that are reaching for you. So I'll have to figure out some reins or something like that for them.
Hmm.
Okay. So you can go in there. Now my glue bottle's blocked.
Yeah, been there, done that.
That's the other reason for pin voices. Where was I?
I guess the palps. Not that it really needs them.
It does.
Quite terrifying enough, don't you think?
I think I'll call it George. I can see Sylvester George. Ta-da! That it really is, Matty. Quite appalling.
Yeah. I mean, good God, look at it.
Yeah. It's pretty ordinary. Show that to Jo, and she is not going to be my friend anymore.
Oh.
It's a bloody nice model, I have to say. From the
Yeah, especially
perspective
for
of
the detail.
it is super effective.
Can't wait to see what you do to it with the coat of paint.
The coat of paint. So I'm going to have to knock. So that'll have to come off. Hopefully the glue spot will come off. So it should sit on its legs now, which it does.
I imagine you've got some slime texture paints.
No, I'm actually going to try and get it somewhat realistic in that, it's going to be a sort of a shiny, because the chitin is
Oh, yeah. I
shiny,
mean,
but
like,
yeah.
for dripping from the horrible maw.
Oh, yeah, possibly. It's probably going to be more horrifying if it's actually lifelike than it's going to be if it's, super dummy, super cartoony.
I suppose so.
It's going to have to go on an 8x8 base.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's too big for a 4x8.
Obviously, I can see that just from your cutting mat, though.
So that's...
Was it sit on 7 hexes?
Yeah, right. So it's a grand hex, is it? Yeah,
I
it's
think so.
8 by 8 sort of there. So yeah, and it's a big model, but
Mm.
compared to the Gargantoid, whew, it's petite. Yeah. On that metallically horrifying note, it's 10 o'clock.
So it is.
Thanks, everybody who watches this. Hope it was fun. It was certainly fun for us.
Mind you, you'll have to put the content warnings on it.
Oh yeah, I might put 4 on this one.
If it doesn't grade a mention, then time
You want me to put a warning on because of the spider, not because of
Yeah,
the topics that we covered.
pretty much.
Fair enough. All right. Thanks, folks. Enjoy your weekend wherever you are.